too. So normally I let it go for like 3 minutes. Let the views build up.
You have to be a bottle of it? Oh, I thought you were going to be able to do it. Okay. Oh, wow. Your mom, oh God, your mom is on. Oh, maybe your grandma is on.
You know she stay on Facebook?
Oh my God. And he said he don't have a lot of followers. He have a lot of people on here. Oh, baby, your mom is on here now. Look, oh man. I'm sorry, I didn't get your. What was your name again? I'm Nicole. I didn't sign up for all of this. Okay. I am shy. He got his whole family. So look, I have to be. Look, I gotta be careful what I say. You know, because I think we should disagree on something. You know, to make we gotta keep it interesting. I don't know. I'm just like break out. I rescue me caribou fillet. Oh my God, this is scary.
Probably go with the 4-minute mark.
I want to.
Or when the song finishes.
Oh no! You say you don't have fun. Yeah, right. Are we doing a quick?
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining the season 3 premiere of Get Hooked. Again, I'm back for my 3rd season, and I have an extremely special guest here with me this afternoon. If she'll go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Nicole, his sister.
So for some of you may know, some of you may not know. I know a lot of you know my brother Terrence and my sister Katrina. What a lot of you don't know is I have a 3rd sister, Miss Nicole. And Nicole, how are we related?
We have the same father.
Yeah. All right. So we share the same dad, and the title of today's show is essentially it's about absent fathers, broken sons, and mended relationships. So essentially, I've never. This is really going to be my first time opening up about the topic, and one of those reasons is primarily because I didn't want to. I wanted to speak to Nicole first because I wanted to get her thoughts on it, and I didn't want to offend anyone because obviously we had a different dynamic, a different relationship with our dad. And what I learned is things weren't always as they seemingly appeared to be. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So not only is Nicole here, but I have three of my nieces here as well, Justice, Sayana, and Lyric, and I'm going to be bringing them on as well to so that they can kind of speak on their feelings of the matter as well. So essentially, I guess to start out, I always grew up thinking that Nicole was favored over me because I would, as a child, you would see certain things and, you would, I guess my perception level wasn't always in tune, especially now since I'm an adult, I see things completely differently. So I always thought that she was pretty much the favorite or favored over me, but I found out that things are not always as they actually appear to be. And the thing is, I've never spoken to my mom about it. I've never spoken to any of my other siblings or anyone in my family, and primarily because I didn't know how to talk about it. Because primarily it's about breaking the cycle. I think a lot of people, both men and women, grow up without a father figure in the home, and the stigma with Black men is that they aren't always around and they aren't pillars in the lives of their kids. So I talked about breaking the cycle, but what I learned is that it's impossible to break a cycle if you don't talk about it. So this is going to be our forum. So without further ado, Nicole, what were your thoughts when I first told you about what I wanted to talk about? What were your initial feelings?
Well, honestly, I'm just trying to hold back the tears because when he first said to me that he thought I was the favorite, it just really it struck my spirit because I felt his pain, and like even now I'm tearing up because I can, even though he's healed from that, but it still strikes my spirit and makes me feel his pain. The first time that Daryl and I talked, it's something that I have been waiting on for a long time. And even though I knew we were siblings growing up, but it was just hard at sometimes to approach him. So when we first had our conversation, we shared a lot. Basically, he told me how he felt. I told him how I felt. I asked him questions that I know, neither of us had basically asked our own parents. And I asked him, how did it feel when he would watch our dad drive past his house to get to our house, see us in the car, and not with him in there, and that's when he shared with me, how he felt that I was favored. And I had to bring it to his attention that I wasn't favored because my dad didn't live in the house with us either. So it kind of shed light on things that he was feeling. And even when it came to our mothers, like his mom and my mom, and being a woman, I wondered how they felt, that they both have kids by our dads. And it's just a whole dynamic. But where we're starting from today is just trying to break the cycle and really to bring our family and our kids together. I am a daddy's girl. And my dad, he did spoil me, and I love him. Like, I love my papa. And I know that he loves Daryl. Even now, whenever I talk to him, he's always telling me, have you talked to Daryl today? How's he doing? So, and I'm not trying to push that relationship, but I just feel that, I can open the door, so some healing can take place, on both ends. That's what I feel. But I'm just trying to hold back the tears because this is just something that I've been waiting for such a long time. And I know many of us that's watching probably have, are going through the exact same thing or have the same experience of, of being a fatherless son or, your dad, has multiple children and the sisters never got together or they just got together at an adult age. So I think we're doing a great thing. It's going to be rough, I think, the conversation because we have so much to discuss in so little time. But I really think this is going to help us as well as helping others.
And you made an extremely good point. Like one of the reasons I was hesitant to even broach this subject or even talk to you about it is because I know the affection you have for our dad. And I didn't want to, I believe in spreading positive energy, so I didn't want to come off as like, I didn't want to be a killjoy for you. Like, you got all these good memories. I don't have those, but I didn't want to ruin what you have with him. But at the same time, I wanted to. I know that my feelings matter too, and I had a completely different experience. And me being a father now, I do understand how difficult things can actually be, and I know that I had to be vulnerable. And the thing is, for men, especially black men, vulnerability does not come easily. We're taught to bottle up our emotions, not to really speak on our feelings, to uh, basically man up. So I've never spoken to anybody in my family about it. Like, not my mom, not my siblings, nobody. This is really going to be my first time opening up about it, and I'm going to do my best to hold it together, because these are feelings that I've bottled up for nearly 43 years.
And I think that you should be honest about how you're feeling. I don't think you're going to offend anyone, because those are your feelings. And we had that discussion before. So this is where we pick it up and we move forward. So I'm open and I support you 100% on how you're feeling. So I think you should be, because there's probably a lot of men that's watching that's feeling the same exact way that you're feeling, but they never dealt with it,
Right.
So I definitely think.
And my cousin Keith is making the first comment. Thanks, cuz he was like, you sound hurt. And we our family, if you know my family, my mom's side, we joke a lot. So like, we are. I know it's in jest, but I was like, I was hurt, but I've learned to let a lot of that hurt go. And I didn't really begin letting that hurt go until I became a father, and then I began to understand just how difficult it is to be the non-custodial parent. If people know, I post Zoe often, so people know my love for my daughter. It ain't easy, like, in terms of dealing with the day in day out things, dealing with her mom sometimes, and doing a lot of things. It's difficult. And as a child, all I knew was my dad wasn't there. He don't want me. I'm not in his life. But as an adult now, I understand it may not have been as easy to forge that relationship. I still haven't spoken to him about it. I'm sure one day we'll have that conversation. But right now, we just really, I'm not there yet. Another thing I wanted to avoid was like family conflict, because I know, just like my mom's side of the family is close, I know that our dad's side is close as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to respect my aunts and cousins, because again, they have a different perception, a different view than what I did. And again, I want to make this crystal clear. This is not in any way, shape, or form to demonize him, to vilify him, to bash him at all, because we've spoken more in the past 6 months than we've spoken in 42 years. So that relationship is mending, it is healing. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to offend any of you guys. So if you're watching, this is these are simply my feelings on the matter. So I certainly hope that there's no offense that's going to be taken. But being a father now, I do understand that the importance of a father's role especially in the life of a son, is extremely important. I'm still learning stuff now that I should have known by now. I mean, I'm not perfect, but to be a man, the man that I feel I should be at this point, I feel that I would have been there had my dad played that role in my life. I was blessed to have my big brother. Thank God for him. Got some older cousins, got some uncles. So I was surrounded by a lot of positive men, but I didn't have that daily presence. I didn't have one man whose sole job was to take care of me and protect me. I didn't have that growing up, and I think that's one of the things I missed out on. I always thought that Nicole had that, like, again, just because if you know our family dynamic, like, we live one street over, like, literally. So when I say we saw each other every day, we saw each other every day. And and we were talking about it earlier, like, do we remember when we first found out that we were siblings? And I was telling her that what I remember is we were in front of my grandma's house on the street my mom lives on now. And the KP kids, we were always playing together. So God, I don't know how many times we probably saw each other before we found out we were related.
Right.
And Lisa Elmo, one of our neighbors, she was like,
That's so crazy.
she was like, go say hey to your sister. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, Tina right over there. I live with her. I know that's my sister. She was like, no, not. She was like, no, not Tina, Nicole. I'm like, who's Nicole? And she, showed me you, and I'm like,
so you didn't know before then?
No.
Oh my God.
I mean, before then, like, I mean, I had seen you, yeah, but I didn't. I mean, I saw the I guess the physical trait, the looks, but I'm like, well, I mean, but after that, I'm like, okay, well, it kind of makes sense.
To me, it was one day we was in the car and Hook and his family was on the porch and he was like, "Oh, that's your brother." And I was like, "That's my brother." I mean, and
So casual, right?
right. I was like, "So you're telling me that's my brother?" And that's all he said. There was really no explanation. So I was like, "Okay, well, that's my brother." And even at that point, like when I would walk past his house, I would always speak to his mom because I just wanted to get close to him, by him being my brother. Like, because I could see his kitchen from my mom's front door. So I would always look out the door and I just would wonder how he would be feeling. And I don't know at such a young age why I had those feelings, but I always wanted to get to know him. But I was at the same time, even as I got older, I was always afraid, because I didn't know how his family would feel, how his family felt about it. And I think you said you kind of felt the same exact way when you would come to my house. So, but I always wanted that closeness with him, something I always desired growing up. I just want to come to, our dad's house. What grade were you in?
I was young, like third, maybe fourth.
Yeah, and I was, we really wouldn't say much to each other, but I would just smile at him, so it was just, I guess, shocking to know that, that we live a block over.
Right. And that was one of the more difficult things because we lived so close in proximity. It was kind of like, why why didn't we find this out sooner? Like, why didn't anybody say anything? And one of the major things though is our brother just doing Derek.
Right, Derek. Hi, he's our other brother. Hey,
Derek
brother.
is our other brother. So
yeah.
Well, you guys know him as Sleepy. So
right, Sleepy is our brother.
That's my big brother. Keith says I'm thankful because his mama was mean as hell.
Right, and it's amazing because it was my mom's house, it was Hook's mom, and it was Derek's mom. And like Hook said, you know him as Sleepy, but he's our brother also. So it was like, it was.
Yeah, it's like, so my dad was a player, y'all. He had a woman on there. He had a woman in it. 3 women in a 2-block radius. So
it was that DJ, it was.
There you go. I mean, and we can laugh about it in just now, but like I was telling Cole earlier, like it wasn't until I became a father that I really let all that hurt go. It did hurt growing up, not really, because even with like my mom's side of the family, all my cousins, they had some relationship with their dad. Like even if their dad didn't live in the house with them, they would spend time or go spend time with his side of the family, but I never genuinely had that. I knew I had this whole other clan, on the other side, but I just never really, I didn't know how to approach him. Jamie and I were always close, so Jamie and I, we knew we were cousins growing up, but like and then Chubb and Ani and the rest of them, we learned later on, and we got pretty tight. But it was simply a whole nother dynamic. And not just talking about me personally, but another thing that kind of really hurt is that, you have 6 lovely kids. You got 5 girls and a boy. And again, I'm just beginning to forge and foster that relationship as well. And I miss, so much time. Like they're all teenagers now. So
I think we both did though, growing up. Because like I said, growing up, we both did. We both missed times, like holidays, especially, and just wondering how you were feeling. And like I said, that's something what I see now as a generational curse that we have the power to break, as going forward. We can at this moment, our kids are going to know each other. You know, our kids are going to be like, wow, that's my uncle, or that's my Aunt Nicole. And, you know, like I was just talking to JB, and it's funny because we were having a conversation. I said, so legally, JB and my girls, they're really not related. And so, you know, he was piggybacking off of that. It's funny, but those are things that, you know, you have to really talk about. It really is.
They ain't related, but they ain't dating either. So you just gonna put that on out there.
But you know, it's just amazing because now they're all bonding together. Right. Thank you, Adrian, because you have to know that, you know, because, you know, growing up, everything was just hush hush, and you never know that somebody was your cousin, and then you end up dating that person. You be like, oh, well, you know, you're kin to him or you're kin to her. And you be like, I am. Right. You know, so now you're all involved in this person, and it's like, oh, wow. So this is great, you know, and like you said, with your feelings matter. I always told you that your feelings matter. You know, if you were hurt, you were angry, you had every right to be, because you didn't ask to be here.
Right.
You didn't ask to be here, and you just didn't. So I feel that. I feel that in so many ways. You know, even with my own children, you feel that. You know, when you have an absent father, it affects you. It truly affects you. You know, when you can have girls or a son, but it affects you into adulthood. And as I was sharing with him, you know, even though, you know, my dad, I love my dad. I love him. I'm a daddy's girl. But I was sharing with Hook. I said, he didn't live with us either, but it doesn't mean that I had a perfect life, you know, because as a woman, there still were some broken pieces inside of me, you know, that didn't make me feel whole, that didn't make me feel, you know, beautiful on the inside. So what you were feeling is you were just not alone, you know. And I know we got this thing where men don't cry or men shouldn't feel, but you should, because then that's how men grow up to be broken men, you know.
Yeah, I agree, and you know and I guess I didn't realize it until I got older. I was broken and didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of anger issues growing up, and right. I was pissed and upset at a lot. I'm like, and I felt at times neglected. I felt sometimes I didn't feel like I was worthy or good enough. You know what I mean? So, but these are things I had to learn. And I think God puts us in a position that He needs us to be in. I think that's something that I had to go through, and it's made me a better father, especially because it's made me into the man I had to be. And I think Justice is probably the bravest person I know right now, because it was because of her that I fostered this relationship with my nieces. Like she DM'd me on Instagram. She was like, Uncle Hook, what's your number? And I sent it to her, and you know, we've been, you know, FaceTiming nearly every night and talking and texting, and it's been great. And she's very boastful, so she's gonna let it be known that was all her, right, Justice? Right, all you. All right, so
You said you didn't have a lot of issues.
Yeah, I had a quick temper, but it's gone now. So thanks to prayer and therapy, but but it's no longer there. So I want to bring my nieces on. So we're gonna go from youngest to oldest. So a little bit. Come on. Zoe outside playing somewhere. Make some room here. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, my name is Ayana. This is my mom.
So Ayana's the baby, and I'm the youngest as well of my family, so on both sides, right? So I know how it feels to be the youngest crew. So Ayana, tell me how you felt when you first found out you had an uncle you knew absolutely nothing about.
It was surprising because I was like, Mom, it was her brother. She was like, yeah, this is my brother. She just said, like, you never met him. And I was like, really surprised. I was happy too.
And so was I, because I mean, obviously I got, you know, JV and Kayla and Kitty and Bud, but I have this whole other clan out here, and you know, and Ayana dances. So, and you know, I'm sitting there watching her videos and Nicole keeps everything. She's like me. She's like she gives like a Facebook catalog. So, so I'm watching from when she was younger up until now, and I'm like, I've missed like years, and like it's like, how do you compensate for that? How do you make up for that? You know what I mean? And it's extremely it's difficult. So Nicole, like, what were your conversations with the kids about this uncle they didn't know about?
They asked me, they was like, so is this Rose son? I was like, no, this is Poppy's son. And he was like, Poppy's son? And he was like, so where does mom live? So they were just asking me the question, because they were like confused. And so once I told them, I was like, Hook mom, she lives on the corner. And they was asking me, about Terrence and Tina. So I explained to them. So, and they were like, okay. So they were like really excited. They were really excited and just glad to know that, okay, they have an uncle. So, yeah.
And we were having that conversation earlier. Like, we were like talking to JV here, and we were like, okay, they were like, so are we related? Like, well, technically, no. So I had to break down, like, they share the same uncle, but they're not actually cousins. They're still not dating, though. So go ahead and cancel that. But that's but that's kind of how that worked out. You can't make up for it, but you can start today. And thank you for the comment, Adrian. And Adrian, you're absolutely correct. And this is one of the reasons I was so excited to meet everybody, because it is really a new beginning, and you're never too old for that. And I know that I've missed a lot of time with you guys, but I plan on making up for it. Deal? Got me. All right. El Boogie. Lyric.
Hey, Shelby.
Sure, what it do? Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, my name is Lyric. I'm 16 years old, and that's all.
And Lyric also dances, so apparently, well, we know they ain't got the rhythm for me, because I'm rhythmless. I can't dance at all, y'all, unless I'm drinking. But,
It runs in the family. It runs in the family.
So, Lyric, what were your thoughts when you first found out you? Because I think you were the only one who I had not met yet.
Right.
I don't know how that's possible though, but what were your thoughts when you found out about me and Cole?
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't shocked. I'm not saying that Pop got it right away I knew, but I'm just saying I wasn't shocked. I was just like, okay, we got an uncle, that's cool. Because we don't really have uncles.
Other than Derek, Pop oldest son.
Right, but I haven't before. So I was happy. I was like, okay. Then we FaceTimed a lot too. So I was excited. I had other questions, but I had extra questions I had. Yeah,
it's an extremely interesting dynamic, and I did expect the questions to come, and I expected there to be a lot more questions as well. But this is simply like I couldn't even write. Like, this is like made for TV. You know what I'm saying? So because it's like, I always felt like there was a part of me that was missing, or something. Just I didn't feel whole up until I let that hurt go. And when I let that hurt go, and then when I found out about you guys, I'm like, so I got this whole other family over here, and everything that you guys have been doing, because Ayana just got accepted to
Dance Theater Harlem.
And Lyric got accepted to the Dance Theater Harlem as well. And like, I'm beaming with pride, like I've been there the whole time, like because it's so cool, and with any accomplishment that anybody has, I want to celebrate that. And if I haven't told you guys before, I want to tell you now, I am extremely proud of you, because that's something that I didn't hear, from my dad a whole lot. And being to be a good dad, like, it's not about what you do, it's not about money or anything like that. It's just about those words of encouragement. You need to hear that. And that's one way I'm here for you guys. So, and obviously I don't know the dynamics between you and your dads or anything like that, but I need you guys to know that if you need anything, or if you need an ear, somebody to listen and talk to, I'm here. And there's no judgment. I've lived nearly 43 years, and I can spread a lot of information. So I'm a wealth of information. So smart like that. And
And it's amazing because Hook and I, we have so many similarities until it's scary. Like, I mean, like, even when the girls are talking to him on the phone, it's just certain things that he does. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so many similarities, and it's like we all fit now. And it feels good to know, that, okay, I see where I get this from. I know where I get this from. And I mean, it just feels so good.
She was staring at me earlier, like,
right, because he looks
like
just,
your dad.
he looks just like our dad. I mean, everything, body, smile, everything is so much like my dad. And I tell my dad it all the time when I speak with him. I was like, he is definitely your son because he has his mannerism. I mean, everything is just so much like him. And this is just a great moment because we've been planning this for so long, right? And just to know that he is healing in the process, and and I'm healing, and our kids are growing together. And like I told him, I said, look, we're about to pick up the pen and write our own story because there's so much that we can't cover within this time, just dealing with so much growing up in two separate households, and he thinking that I was the favorite one, which in my mind, I am the favorite one. It's just an inside joke. But, I always tell him, I was like, I Poppy, I do. And my heart aches for him when he was my age, because he didn't have that. And I don't know the dynamics because I was just asking him, I'm being honest. I was asking him, I was like, did you know how my dad and your mom met? And I was just asking because I never knew, I never knew. And, he was giving me a little background on that. And I was like, okay, so Poppy was married to my mom. So he was with your mom. And my dad was the DJ. And his name was the Mighty T. So to me, and look, I'm just being real and honest. Honestly, Pop had and I'm not making no excuses for his behavior, but I'm thinking he had to be a ladies' man, right? Because, he had my mom, he had Hook's mom, and he had Miss Nell. So, so as of this point, we're just trying to move forward. And what we're trying to do is just pick up, not what we're going to do is just pick up the pen and we're going to write our own story because we know that there's so many other, there are people that's watching us that's going through the exact same thing, but never really spoken about it. I remember growing up, my mom used to say, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. But sometimes those things that stays in this house is like, those are the things that hurt you the most. So sometimes, you got to be able to just talk about those things that's always sweep up under the rug. And that's something that I allow for my kids to do. Tell me how you're feeling. If I can't help you, then maybe there's somebody else that could. But I'm always just being open with my kids because I don't want them to grow up as broken adults. I want them to grow up to be healthy adults and just say what's on their mind, and they can't imagine their Pop being a player because they look at him now and they're like, Pop, he was a player from the Himalayas, but this is what we're doing now. We're picking up the pieces and we're moving forward. And I'm glad to be here with my brother because he FaceTime my girls every single day. So it's like, this is like a reunion for us. And so I think your mom and sister are watching. So our next thing that we're planning on doing is having like a family dinner. The girls, not Chick-fil-A, but we're just really, that's our next thing that we want to do. We want to bring our families together. So that's what we're going to do next, right?
Yeah, and my mom was joking about it earlier because I was in Allendale earlier, and she was like, "You just put all my business on Facebook." Like, oh, my bad.
But really, I honestly, I wanted to know how he met your mom. I wanted to know, and Hook will always say he felt funny coming to my mom's because knowing that our dad had an affair with his mom, I always felt funny, but I can honestly say I knew it had to have been God at a young age because I never treated him differently. Like, I'll be like, hey, Hook, like.
I mean, the thing is, growing up, I didn't know. Like, I went over and, like, your mom would look at me and I'm like.
Could you imagine what she was thinking?
Yeah.
She probably was like.
Now I'm like, okay, I see why she looked at me that way. I mean, but growing as a kid, I didn't know any better. But
she probably was like,
this little nigga.
I mean, because imagine that now, if you fast forward to now.
You're right.
But, but I can honestly, but always, your mom always treated me with love. Whenever I come there, your mom always treated me with love. And like you said, my mom she would look at you, but she would never say anything. She never said,
I wouldn't know. And like I said, my mom never said anything, bad.
My mom didn't either.
She never talked bad about him. It was just like, I mean, that's your dad. And,
yeah, my mom never said anything bad. All that she would say, you saw Hook on that portrait, lost it, I'm sitting down. You better go speak to your brother. I sound just like her, but no, it was just, maybe it was just maybe we should talk to them more, find out how they felt as women.
Yeah. So, yeah, we gonna set right there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Justice.
See you next time. Look at that.
Oh no, you can put that. I thought you were done with that.
Really? So this is the person who I guess you can get a little bit of credit of initiating the entire thing. A little bit, not a lot bit. But she DM'd me on Instagram and she asked for my number and we pretty much took off from there. Like we've been text if we're not FaceTiming, we're texting throughout the day, checking on each other, really finding out what's going on, watching her eat Chick-fil-A, like if not Chick-fil-A, it's chicken wings like every night. So that's kind of her thing. So J Money, so what were your thoughts when you first found out about me?
Okay, so I met him before, but when I met him, he had dreads.
Hey.
Yeah, dreads. But he had dreads, and then I never saw him again. But I had to make a Facebook for like modeling and stuff. So I always see him like liking the pictures and commenting under my pictures. Said I'm gonna get a beating for some of the stuff that I wore, but it's only for modeling, wasn't just out there. And then I followed him on Instagram. And I'm like, he's really, like, he's commenting and stuff, and I knew he was my mom's brother, so I just took it for myself to, just ask, for his number. So, because I know that if I wouldn't have, we still wouldn't have, like, met. So then once I got his number, we started, like, FaceTiming. I realized he didn't have dreads anymore. And then, like, it started becoming, like, an everyday thing. And then we started realizing that him and my mom are really related because he acts just alike, like, it's scary, but it's like I'm kind of glad because you don't really meet people meet new family members that are willing to come in and talk to you. Like some family members, if they haven't met you before, they'll be like standoffish because like I'm just meeting you now. You're already 18, so what's the okay, you're 18, but what can I really talk to you about? But it's a lot that you can talk to your family members who you haven't met in a long time because then you start to realize that you guys have things in common. You can. Even though it's 18 years, I can fill you up on different stuff, and you'll think you know me forever. But I just feel like that is good.
Sometimes a little bit too much. TMI.
So, but it's like I'm kind of glad that. Well, I'm not kind of. I am glad that I did because this was happening. So, like, I knew they were related. The other sisters didn't know. They're lost in sauce, but. Yeah, Facebook started it, and then Instagram started it, and I'm like, okay, I follow him. And my mom always used to say, like, let's just hug. And then she saw me Zoe, and we started FaceTime, and I started, like, talking to Zoe on FaceTime. Now that I'm here, like, she gave me, like, 5 hugs, y'all. Like, I feel
I mean, that's a little bit for Zoe, because Zoe hugs you all day.
Like, she gave me, like, 5 hugs. She asked me to come outside to play with her. But it's this, so I'm like, okay, maybe if we had time, I can come outside, throw a ball or something. But yeah, that's really
Adrian says, Nicole, you've done a wonderful job, an amazing job with your ladies.
Oh, thank you.
They are right.
Oh, there go Joyce. Hey, sis.
What's up, Joyce? They are. I mean, whatever. They do okay.
Mighty T was a player.
And that was Keith's comment. Now, Shelby said that car he had got him, that Pontiac. Yeah. So.
And what we're just really wanted you guys to see our growth. We have so much more that's planned that we're going to do.
We do, and we talked about we talked about a book. We talked about a play.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about and this is why it's really good to know your family because Cole and I have a lot of similarities. We have a lot of common interests. Like we both read, we both write. She's actually a published author, so. Small plug that she got a book out.
Yeah.
Go get it. So there's so many similarities there, and we really have a story to tell because we grew up in tiny Allendale, and I know a lot of people who know both of us probably didn't think we had any connection whatsoever. But just as we're facing this now, I can't imagine how many other people out there are dealing with the same thing, whether they're willing or unwilling. Because I mean. Pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who have siblings who they either don't converse with, they know they're related, but they don't really talk to them. But I think that's something that, especially we here in the Black community, we gotta break. Because if your family, your family. And if anyone knows me, I'm huge on family. I love family. I love the entire dynamics of it. And to know that I had, this much family out there. And like I said, I guess what really the most hurtful thing is the fact that like I watched Kayla grow up. I watched JB grow up. I'm watching Kitty and Pudge grow up now. Those are my sister Tina's kids. But I miss so much time with you guys. Like, and it does hurt because it's when we talk about absent fathers, it affects more than just the kids. There's an entire lineage of people who are affected, and I'm sure I know Nicole did a phenomenal job, but as a brother, it's also my job to help her in steering her girls and Kai, who's her son, in the right path, and that's part of my job as an uncle as well. And um, like I said, man, it was a lot of mixed emotions about the show. Like I would have done this like years ago, but like I said, I didn't want the wrong message to come across. I didn't want to offend anybody because my perception of my dad growing up and everybody else's perception is going to be completely different. But now that I'm an adult, I understand how difficult things were. And like I said, we've talked more in the past few months than we've talked in, all my life. And we joke, we laugh, and you talk about the similarities. I'm like, when he laughs, I'm like, man, he laughs, just like me. And I had to let a lot of that hurt go. And it's it wasn't until Zoe was born that I really got it. When I was raising her, I'm like, you know what, this shit ain't easy. Like even I was doing all the right stuff, but it didn't always seem like what I was doing was really good enough. So I started thinking, well, maybe my dad just didn't know how. Maybe it wasn't that he didn't want to be involved. Maybe he didn't know how to be involved. And when he and I have never had that one-on-one conversation.
And that's something that I've been.
She's been trying to get me.
I've been trying to get him to do it, and I support wholeheartedly. When we talked about our feelings, and we're definitely going to share. We're going to write. We're definitely going to do a play, and with his feelings on, he got some really deep feelings, and I support him on how he feels. I was like, okay, I support you because those are your feelings, and I'm not going to ignore your feelings. I support you 100%. So you need to speak your truth because there are other men out there that's feeling the same exact way that you're feeling. And I'm always saying, Hook, talk to Poppy about your feelings. Talk to him. Just talk to him because you just never know. I can't answer that for him. I can't answer that from Poppy, but I do know that he loves him and he loves Derek and he loves Joyce and he loves Rika. I do know that, but I also want Hook to talk to him. I just talk to him.
And I guess,
and I think that will be like, you can be like, okay, I'm finished with this chapter. Because once you talk to him, I just believe it will make a big difference.
And I guess I never really had because, like, I'm a very water under the bridge type of person. Like, if something is done, if I'm over it, like, I kind of don't want to bring back old feelings. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do I still want to know? Yeah. I mean, I do want to. I guess 10-year-old Hook wants to know, but 42-year-old Hook is kind of like, well, it is what it is. And
what I've learned for me, I'm sorry, but for me, I had to learn how to. It's amazing that you said that because I had to learn how to rescue the 9 and 10-year-old inside of me, and once I freed her and set her free, then I was able to embrace and go forward with the 46-year-old woman that you see today. But it was just like, in my mind, I still suffer from things, that happened. And I had to free myself as a child, because if I didn't, then I would still be stuck. I would still be a broken woman walking around here with a painted smile on my face. And that's something that I just didn't want to do. And, and it's just, for me, like I said, maybe you don't want to, but as your big sister, I think you should,
right now.
I think you should, I think you should, so you would know and to get those answers. But if you feel that you don't, I'm going to support you anyway, then I'm just going to take the ball and be like, okay, Poppy, tell me what's up. Because I'm going to see him on Sunday, right? So I'm going to tell him about this, which he already knows because I spoke to him about it. And but we have some really great things coming. We definitely,
definitely. And I'm glad that we finally got an opportunity to talk about it because, like I said, growing up, I always thought you know, it was pretty much y'all, and I'm just over here alone, you know.
Of course
And
not.
again, I guess it didn't even dawn on me that, well, I mean, he ain't living in the same house with her
Right.
either.
And
you
that's
know?
something that we were having a conversation, and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, you know, because I know you were the favorite one and you was this. So I listened to him rant, right? I mean, he went through so much. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I got my glass of wine, so I'm going to listen to him rant on the phone. And that's exactly what I did, right? So I let him rant. So then I was like, okay, I said, Hook. I said, Poppy didn't live with my mom either. So we wasn't in the house with him. He was like, oh, I never thought about that. I know, you know, so everybody, there's always more to the story, but sometimes when you're on the outside looking in, you know, sometimes your hurt won't let you look past, you know, the bigger picture. But yeah, it's got to be key. I know.
Free the 10-year-old you. Stupid. Adrian says, Hook, that convo Nicole is encouraging you to have will free you. You'll get real closure. And Joyce says, step out on faith, bro.
Right, yeah. And I'm telling you, I've been like telling him, you know, I was like, it's not that you're trying to, you know, you can't make up for lost time, but I just feel that would be closure for him, you know, for the both of them, you know, because I knew at the time that Poppy was married to my mom when Hook was conceived and when Derek was conceived. You know, I mean, that's something that I know. So I don't know how it was back in the day. You know, I have no idea, but maybe it was hard, or I don't know, you know. Maybe it was a summer fling. I don't know. Maybe him and my mom was having problems. Look, I have no idea, but what I do want to know, what I do want to do right now at this moment, I want us to be healed. I want our children to be healed. I want us to use our story and just heal other people that's watching, you know? And it's like breaking that generational torch, passing the torch, and we're moving on.
Right, breaking the cycle.
Yeah, breaking the cycle.
Exactly. And the thing of it is, and I know that, especially in the Black community, like a lot of things are always hush. Like, you know, it's like you know, but you never really talk about it. And growing up, like I like in terms of like fidelity, infidelity,
right?
You know, outside kids, the whole nine. I ain't know shit about that. So it's like I'm sitting there. I would go to your mom's house and see you, and you know, she'd look at me, and you know, we'd be in the room. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, so that's why she gave me that look.
Right.
So I'm, you know, the outside kid coming in her house, like the nerve of you, son. Like, but again, I didn't know at the time, but you know, I guess growing up, I mean, now that I'm adult, I do understand, and that's one of the things that helped me to really get over a lot of the hurt I faced as a kid, because there are a lot of things that I don't know. And honestly, I know you talked about having a conversation. I get that's why sometimes I feel like at this point, I mean, I'm sure one day I will have the talk, but until then, like I'm content, and like I'm about making sure that my relationship with you guys is you know, a lasting one from this day going forward. I want to make sure that you continue to have a relationship with Zoe. Whenever you decide to date when you're married, whenever you have kids, I want to make sure that I'm there for, you know, for all of that. So yeah, she's not dating until she's married.
How does it work? How do you supposed to know who the person that you're going to be with? If someone just get on me like, oh, Rosie.
That sounds like a personal problem.
I gotta get to know the person.
There you go.
I'm waiting for Chris Brown. That's all.
But you know what? And you think about it now, like. But see, look at it now, though. It's like the same things are happening. Like when people are having they're with somebody and they're having outside children, and they got sisters and brothers all over. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing that's happening now, and it's like a generational curse that keeps repeating itself. But it's like we're here at this moment because we're going to stop that.
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, you can't break a cycle unless you talk about it, and that's one thing no one really encouraged us to really, just Black people in general, we're not encouraged to really talk about our feelings and air our feelings out there. But these are conversations that not just what we need to have, but I mean, I would encourage anybody out there who has even a similar situation to really, you know, talk about it. You need to know your people. You need to know who you're related to, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So I would encourage anybody out there. This was by far one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. But I'm glad that I finally did it.
And I'm glad that we did it. Like I said, when he called me that night, he was in a rage. Tina, if you're still listening, I wish you would have heard your brother on the phone. He was just going off, and I'm like, okay. I hadn't spoken to him in a while, so it was like, but it was like he was just angry, and I was like, okay, well, you know, JB is laughing. I thought you was laughing at your uncle, but you know, but I'm glad that we're here, and we have, like I said, we have so much coming up. We definitely have a lot that's coming up. I definitely want him to talk to Poppy, but I support him in his decision when he's ready. So, but I definitely want that to happen for so many reasons. For number one, life is just so short and life is just so precious. And even though I think that he feels that he don't need closure, but I feel that we all do, you know, because I want to know. You know, I want to know. See, he's trying to drink the problem down, but
Hey, it's wine, not beer this time.
But I think we made a huge step. I think we made an awesome step, and this is great for us, and we're moving forward.
Absolutely. And again, I want to thank you guys because they're in town for the weekend. They live in Baltimore, so
Right.
But they're in town for the weekend. And,
until Monday, actually, we're here until Monday.
And I'm just going to and I'm just going to I'm going to enjoy it, and we're going to enjoy this time together. And this was great, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys made it over. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys
Right.
for coming.
We hope you guys were encouraged, inspired. We're definitely going to do a play. We've been talking about it for such a long time. We're definitely going to do a play, and that way we both can really put our emotions out there. Because like I said, I grew up with Poppy and he didn't. So, you know, we both have a story to tell.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say this, that, you know, I love you, my kids love you, and I know Poppy loves you. I know that because he tells me that. And when I talk to him, he tells me that. And I'm not just saying this for, you know, whatever, but I always told you that. He loves you. He loves Derek, and then he loves Joy. So I know that. But I just, you know, and just sometimes, you know, he's crying. Oh my gosh.
I'm not crying.
But, you know, but I just feel that, you know, sometimes as adults, even, you know, as adults, we don't make the right choices, you know, and I can say that, you know, I tell my kids all the time, Mommy's not perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I still do. And I'm not justifying Poppy's actions in any way whatsoever, but only he can speak about that. But I know that he loves her. I know that with everything in me, he loves him, and he talks about it. And then I feel Poppy don't know how to approach the situation too. I honestly believe that. I do think he have regret. I honestly, and I know my Poppy very well. I know that about him, you know, but just sometimes as adults, you know, we don't know how to correct the mistakes that we've made. And sometimes we do need help. Sometimes we do need somebody to take our hand and help us to correct those mistakes. So I'm your helping hand.
Appreciate you. Harold says, I'm glad he loves you because I don't like you. Even though you can help me put that trampoline up, but we're going to talk about that in a couple weeks. But again, guys, I want to thank you all for.
Chubb coming in.
Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Chubb says, I had that talk with my dad at the age of 33. I had so much anger and hate inside of me towards him. It was only because my wife encouraged me hard to do so. I was free from that pain on that day. If you don't do anything else, you have to have that talk, because you find out things you never knew. I had to reach out to him because he knew my anger towards him. Today we laugh and talk like nothing ever happened. So take the step and talk to your pops. Mike says that this is a great cleansing. And I agree with all you guys. And this was extremely personal. And I'm glad that we had this talk again. And thank you all for the words. And I'll certainly take heed because it is a conversation that's long overdue. But again, I want to thank you all for joining. This was what a way to open the season 3. I'm telling you, man. This was a hell of a way to open the season. I will be back. We did a special this Friday night. We'll be back Thursdays at 6:30. I finally found my co-host, Nayoka. I'm not sure if she's watching or not, but we have quite a few good topics lined up for the remainder of the season. So again, thank you all for joining. And don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to share, because I want as many people as possible I want this to touch as many people as possible, because you never know who's going to learn from it. So again, thank you guys, and
toast to a new beginning.
new beginnings. You know you can't have me. All right, y'all.
Hey.
Is it ended? Okay, we're back. I'm back.